Hey everybody, welcome back to Prince's Friend, exploring music through Prince. We are going to be doing the next in the line of Prince album reviews today, one that I've waited a while to actually get out, but we're ready. We got it. It's for New Power Soul. This album was released on June 30th of 1998, and a lot of people have been waiting for me to get to this one, but mostly so that we can get to the next one. Strangely, this album is not as beloved as some Prince albums are. I don't know why. I'm a big fan of it. It's, not terribly my favorite, but I do like it. And we'll talk a little bit more about why, but a lot of it has to do with story. Prince was always a storyteller. But this was released in 1998. We just got done with 1998, the early 1998. This was mid 1998. And Prince went around and he promoted this album in a cool way, right? So it's a New Power Generation album, not technically a Prince album. It's mostly Prince. It's mostly Prince. Prince wasn't making the album wholly by himself. There's a number of the tracks that are written with Kirk Johnson, Dougie Fresh, and Larry Graham. Even though most of the album was written by Prince himself and recorded by Prince himself, he knew that it was a collaborative effort. There was no way to get around that, really. So it was a collaborative effort in the studio and on stage, because he was doing a lot of promotion, simultaneously promoting New Power Soul, this album that we're going to discuss today, as well as Come to My House from Shaka Khan and GCS 2000 from Grand Central Station. And he was going around, he was doing interviews on Sinbad and, BET and like all this stuff. He was doing interviews galore. He was really hyping everything here. So it was a big deal for him in 1998 to be, out here doing his thing. And the thing I love about New Power Soul is that it feels just fun. It's largely kind of leading you down a positive, vein, even though some of the songs are kind of on the, leading you to it. You're not there, but, there's a lot of really, celebratory songs on this album. And those are the ones that stand out the largest to me. And if you think of it, it's like Emancipation was Prince finally like releasing all this pent up music that he had been hoarding for like years when he was trying to finish his WB contract. Then Crystal Ball was kind of a mixed bag. It was a lot of, older tracks that he really wanted to get out, an outpouring of love from Maite with the Kama Sutra, and then like an entire acoustic album of like soul searching, which was called The Truth. All of those reviews are on the channel because I'm doing these in order, so go check those out. But now it's like, there's like a bunch of heavy stuff out of the way. I think Prince really wanted to kind of just have fun with this album, and that's, for me, what New Power Soul represents. On the surface, there's nothing heavy, nothing super consequential. It's about having fun, and I think that might be why a lot of people didn't necessarily like it, and it's because not everybody kind of got the album, from a story standpoint. So we're definitely gonna, dig more into it there. But Prince, he went around and he was promoting this album as, the symbol. He was still going by the love symbol at this time. He didn't change his name until a few years later. But he was really hyping MPG, New Power Generation, and not necessarily him, because, he had already spent years kind of burning Prince's name to the ground. So he really wanted to push this new entity that he was creating, and more actually pushing Shaka Khan and Larry Graham around this time, kind of stepping in the background and talking about more of the business side and saying like, yeah, this is a business and we're doing this, and no contracts and all that stuff. There's a bunch of interviews from him around this time you should go check out if you're really, really interested in that. But what I will say now is, let's get into the music, because that's what we're really here for. We should all come together to the New Power Soul. So Into the Darkness, Let There Be Light, indeed. The first thing that I noticed when I was listening to this song is obviously it borrows the "get freaky, let your head bob" as a major hook for the song. And of course that comes from Big Fun from Exodus, which to me tells you like it's linked, right? It's like this is a New Power Generation album. Remember this? This is a New Power Generation thing. Well, I'm borrowing that. It's here. This is an extension of that new MPG music, kind of to remind you. I feel like the phrase in Big Fun, though, really worked to kind of add to the sexiness of the album, whereas here I think it's more playful than than on the other album. uh the arrangement here is pretty loose in terms of like instrumentation and whatnot. The music of it is not overly fancy. I feel like the horns make this song, and they're put at the forefront. If you listen really carefully, you can hear like the keys in the background, and they're mostly hidden underneath the other instruments, but they poke out like here and there when the other instruments take a rest. It's kind of an interesting listen when you go into it. But one other thing is that this song pulls a push, and if you don't know what pulling a push is, it's there's a song called Push on Diamonds and Pearls where he does a rap during the song that includes all the names of the songs, the song titles from the album. And it's thunder when I'm on the mic, Daddy Pop's in the house, and you sure to like his diamonds and sure to like his pearls. I'm good to cream every boy and girl. The one on Diamonds and Pearls included Horny Pony, which was not on the album. It ended up being a B-side, but so he actually pulls that again here on this album. Gemini rising on the 7th day, making mad sex until you're in my arms. Okay, cause when you love somebody like that, it's cool. And it's less rappy because it was the late 90s and not the early 90s. And it was more kind of jazzy, that sort of thing. But I always loved it when Prince did those. I think he only did it the 2 times. But I loved both times. It's something that I want to do one day. That would be cool. Okay, next song. I used to have mad sex in the morning. I used to have mad sex in the afternoon. So Prince wrote Mad Sex with Kirk Johnson, and this song is just like a wonderful groove that you can totally get lost in. And like when people ask me about some like really funky Prince songs, like this is one that I will point them to. And it's not like dance funk. It's like gritty, like low down, like funky funk that you can like grind to. Like I love that sort of thing. But yes, I mean, you can totally get lost in a song like this, like I just did, because when you listen to the story of the song, this is where it kind of starts, right? This is a story about a woman who Prince is observing being promiscuous, most likely also having been with her, because otherwise why would he care? And he's seeing her like again and again, and kind of musing about how like one day it's gonna lead her into shambles, lead her down a bad path. In the song, he even says, one day you're gonna tumble down, down, down. And I always look at these albums to be like stories, because Prince would do that. And so the first song, New Power Soul, was more of an introduction into the feel of the album, I feel. But Mad Sex mostly starts off the idea of this character who is oversexed and headed for a downfall. Until you're my arms again, I know the spring will. Then we get to track 3, which is Until You're in My Arms Again. And we go from like the bass heavy funk that is Mad Sex into a synth and kind of string focused love song. Again, Until You're in My Arms Again is Prince singing to this woman that he once loved, most likely the same one that he's seeing now running around with tons of men. And he wants her, but knows that it's not the right time for them. The beat is pretty simple, but there is a really cool breakdown where he then builds back up in the middle of the song, where Prince starts belting out in his falsetto, and it's some impressive like vocal gymnastics. Overall, I feel like there's nothing super exciting about this song, but it's nice. Then we get a little bit more upbeat with When You Love Somebody, and the horns are kicking on this one. I really love the horns on this song. Here, Prince is now explaining how this woman and he are not together and why they're not together. But apparently, she's coming back to him, hoping for another chance. He gives it to her. And then, of course, then she goes away and then she comes back and then she goes away and she comes back. And that's basically the relationship that he has with her. But when you love somebody, that's just kind of how it is, I guess. The message of the song is that love is not always being sunshine and rainbows. And honestly, it's a pretty mature take on love and one that I get behind wholeheartedly. Not the sleeping around thing. That's not something I do, but you know, if that's what you have accepted as part of the relationship, I guess that's just what it is. But I mean, the story is a mixed one though, because it seems like almost an admission that she is cheating on him and sleeping around, but he just kind of keeps taking her back, and it doesn't really frame it like it's a bad thing, just something that everybody has to go through. I mean, it's an interesting song. Great listen. Then we get into one of my favorite songs on the album, shoobydoo. I just like saying the name of the song. It's shoobydoo. Prince continues this woman's story, bringing us to the inevitable conclusion of her tumbling down, as he said earlier. So she's sleeping around to pay the rent now. She's broke. She wants something better. She's not doing it for fun anymore. She's doing it because she has to. There's very little hope in her life. This is a very like rock bottom song, as happy as the song sounds. But it's pretty depressing. It's kind of a rock bottom song. I think that this one has probably one of my favorite choruses that Prince has ever written, just like lyrically, but like, and no, shooby-doop is not, shooby-doop, shooby-doop, ooh. That's not the chorus. The chorus is, the part with the gray-haired witch and, spitting out the aftertaste and all that stuff. And I just love how, like, the imagery of the lyrics that are there in this chorus that are like, you get exactly what he's saying because he chose just the right words. But, I mean, overall, this song is about an epiphany that the woman is having, right? That's why the song begins and ends with, so you thought you might just lose your mind today. It's because she's in this crap. She's seeing how it has now brought her to her bottom, and she's gonna lose her mind. She's gonna be like, this shit has to change. Big fan of this song. It's one of my faves, and it brings us into the next song, which is also one of my faves. Push it up, everybody, yeah. Push it up, this is the jam. Push it up, push it up. So this one was written with Dougie Fresh and Larry Graham, which makes sense because of the structure of the song and the next one, actually. So this one is it's a heavy funk dance song with a clap snare, a kicking bass, an enigmatic synth, and a trio of Prince, Dougie Fresh, and Larry Graham, pulling in 1999 on Push It Up. But Prince starts like the trio, doesn't end it. It's kind of interesting. But the premise of the song is your life sucks. Push it up. Let's have fun. Let's get happy. And it makes sense for the story that we're telling because, you've noticed that it's all terrible. So we're going to push it up. We're going to party. We're seeing the joy that we could have, and we're going towards that, right? A note too that I want to point out is that the song borrows the everybody's here. This is the jam of the year line. From Jam of the Year, from Emancipation. And that also lets you know that it's that same energy, it's that joyous party feel that comes from realizing that you want to change your life. And I love this song. It's one of my favorites on the album, but shooby-doop, you've seen that your life is terrible. Push it up is you're seeing all of those people over there having an amazing time and you want to go join them. And that's where Freaks on This Side comes in. So let's go to that one. You got to get down to a brand new sound. So I did tell the story about Freaks on This Side in my video where I was talking about the 1997 Jam of the Year tour concert that I went to. But there was a part in the concert where he starts having the left side go, freaks on this side. Freaks on this side. And then he has the right side, freaks on this side. The freaks on this side, having them compete. I was on the floor in the middle, And it was funny because he had us go, freaky people in the middle, freaky people in the middle. And, I mean, that's just how that works. The middle part didn't fit in this song. He went with freaks on this side, and that's fine. But you can tell that he used that kind of as a basis of this song as a whole. And like, who knows what night he recorded that, because there's an actual, like, the sample is from a crowd shouting it. So I like to think it was from the night that I was there. That's just me, though. But all that aside, Freaks on This Side largely continues the funk flow of the album. It's very similar in tone and feel to Push It Up, but very different also. So it's not samey. But it's got more horns, a really cool descending bass line, boom, boom, boom. And the chants of freaks on this side. So Push It Up is more about making that decision to turn your life around and the joy of such a thing. And when you get to Freaks on This Side, it's about like looking for the answers that you need. And once you find your way through, you're in the new power generation, you're one of the enlightened, you found your way to God. I remember when I was first listening to this album and I was just like, the lyrics and the chorus don't really fit with the feel, and like, what is happening with this song? But like, when you listen to it in context, it makes a ton of sense. And like, it's, again, probably one of my favorite songs, not just because of my personal experience at the concert and my connection to it in that way, but I mean, the song is just slamming.
Come on, babe. Come on, shake it now. Come on, babe.
Then we get to Come On. This is the only single from the album. It reached 22 on the US Billboard 200, and it reached number 8 on the Billboard R&B album chart. So, hey, it's not too bad of a showing for somebody who was told that, he was going nowhere without Warner Brothers. So I'm just saying. He only did the one single probably because of cash flow. Singles cost money to release. Video, you have to pay for promotion and all that stuff. And from stories that we've heard, Prince was still trying to mostly like figure out all of the running a record label sort of thing. So I'm glad, though, that this came out because it was really fun. The video was fun because he was dressed up like an old pimp. Like, it's very funny. You should go find it online. You can find it online and watch it. But Come On is Prince's essential, like, his seduction of the woman in the story, asking her to come with him to where he's going, which is to God. So, she's seen what she wants. She's finding the answers and stuff. And then Prince is just like, well, if you come with me, I got it. I'm with you. Let's go together, right? Not only that, he's like, I want to marry you, like, despite your sordid past, despite the fact that you're playing games and you're still sleeping around. Like, he really wants her. And I want to point out that, like, he mentions London a few times in this song, which links back to Mad Sex, where he also mentioned that she was from London there as well. And so that seems to obviously link it and tell you that there's an overarching story here. But by the end of the song, it still doesn't seem like she's convinced. She's still, she don't want him yet. So Prince has to pull out an epic love song.
I am the one.
And when I say epic, I mean, The One is probably one of my favorite Prince love songs, and probably one of my favorite love songs ever. It was on my top 10 list. Go check out that video. But what I love about it is that it's a song of kind of opposites. It's not, I'll do this for you and I'll do that. There's so many songs out there like, I'll die for you and I would kill for you. And this one's just like, oh, you want somebody who's going to do that? Nah, that ain't me. I ain't the one. And I like that. It's Prince at his songwriting best, in my opinion. So Prince transitions between his falsetto and his head voice expertly during the song. All the instruments, they're all kind of dancing around together, creating an amazing tapestry of this, just like this feeling of love. Like, you feel the love in the song. And even at the end where he goes, my, te, where he's like you can hear him singing to the woman that he loves, which is just so amazing. The song ends with the sound of a plane taking off. And which to me, that calls back to the previous song, Come On, where he says, all you have to say is yes, and I'll book a red eye. Like, we can go, right? We'll go together. It's going to be wonderful. So that tells us, the plane taking off tells us that she says yes. And then we get to the final song, seemingly. So now we're to I Like Funky Music. It was written with Dougie Fresh. And it's the, seeming conclusion to the album. Again, we'll get to that because there's one more song technically. And this one, though, is a joyous celebration of the journey that this woman has been on to find her way back to Prince, back to God, and finally them being all together. The lyrics, aren't overly deep. It's more of a get on the floor and dance kind of song. I do like the line, if you ain't got a partner, then you can use your hair. Like, just dance, right? One of my favorite parts also of this song is where Prince he tries to do some beatboxing like Dougie Fresh does, and he ends up coughing. He goes, boom, I don't know. It just shows that Prince is so bad that he can cough on a record and everybody loves it. Overall, I think it's a really good ending track, and I think it's a triumph of the story that we were presented with.
Why did I waste my kisses on you now? Why did I waste my kisses?
So then we get to track 49, which is Wasted Kisses. This is technically the real ending of the album, but tracks 11 through 47 were 5 seconds of silence, 48 was 44 seconds of silence, and then you get Wasted Kisses on track 49. So this was during the advent of like CDs, popularly having hidden tracks on the CD. Like if you just hit play and listen to the whole album and you forget to go and hit stop at the last song, it'll just keep going through the tracks, and eventually you'll hear that hidden song. And this was something that a lot of people did back in the 90s because CDs were all the rage back then. A lot of the time, hidden songs and hidden tracks were found by accident. And I remember in the liner notes for this one, so I had already kind of picked it up because I checked out the liner notes, but there was a little handwritten note on the inside of the CD cover that said, Wasted Kisses, track 49. Oh, no, he didn't. So because this was a first for him having a hidden track on there. So I did like that, though. The song itself, if we add it to the story, gives definitely a sadder ending to the whole thing. Essentially saying that we did this whole long journey just for it to all kind of end prematurely. I love the song musically. The sonics of it is just wonderful. Especially like the sound effects. He puts an ambulance, then somebody falling to their death, and then like a heart monitor that goes boop, 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 basically saying this whole thing is over. And but like the song itself is good. Kind of a sad note to end on when we could have ended it really happily. So in conclusion, if we take this as an autobiographical work, which a lot of his stuff in the 90s was, then, and Maite has said in several interviews that Prince would often flip the script and write songs pointed at somebody else, but they were really about him, or this could be a song about Maite and maybe they had a falling out and this was him kind of chronicling what he saw of her or what he thought she was doing. It could be anything. Sadly in this case, regardless of who it's about or whatever, the inclusion of Wasted Kisses on the album at the end, especially as a hidden track, means that Prince saw the end coming, regardless of how hard they tried to make it work or how much love there was between them. He's like, it ain't gonna happen right away. There's gonna be some time in between there, but eventually this is all going to end. So like this album was like a lot, New Power Soul it's not a well-remembered album by a lot of us friends out there in the community. If you ask people, they'll say it has a lot to do with the like production side of things. It continues a lot of the production quality that was on Emancipation that a lot of people didn't like. But from like a songwriting perspective and a rating of Prince's like storytelling ability, the album is really high up there for me. I'm not going to sit here and say that it's like my favorite album of Prince's and I put it on all the time and I'm always jamming out to New Power Soul, because it's not. But when the songs come on and shuffle, I definitely don't skip them. And honestly, this was really fun going back and listening to this album again for the review and like really digesting the story and and everything again. The album for me is good. It's not his best. It's not his worst. I think it's a fun telling of a sad story and revealing a lot about his life and what was happening to him to those who were listening at the time, which weren't many. And there's some really, really good funk on here. But tell me, what did you think of New Power Soul? I want to know about it down in the comments. Tell me what your favorite song was. Tell me what your stories are with this album. I definitely want to know. And don't forget to hit like and subscribe. You can definitely support the channel either on the Patreon or by joining here, by hitting the join button underneath the video, becoming a YouTube member. Every little bit helps definitely to start getting these videos out again. And I'm just so super excited to be continuing with the Prince reviews. I forgot what the album is after this, but I'll make an announcement or something later on as to what that is. But we have a lot more videos coming at you this year in 2023. Thank you for being here. And don't forget to check out Strays of the World. That's my musical project. You can check it out here on YouTube or just go to straysoftheworldmusic.com. God, there's so much. Well, you know what? So I'll end it there. May you live to see the dawn. I love you all, and I'll see you in the next video.